rise in body or spirit and join me in our opening hymn this morning, which is number 1055 in your teal hymnal, How Sweet the Darkness, and the words will be on the screen as usual. Please be seated.
The power of story rests in the heart of vulnerability and community. Each individual bears a story aching to be heard and to be recognized. Our stories are revelations of our human experiences. They are woven with the threads of pain, love, fear, and grief.
Stories are powerful because they foster connection and plant the seeds for community to blossom. Stories allow us to recognize how similar we all are at the most fundamental level of life, from the blood that flows in our veins to the oxygen held in our lungs.
Despite differences in race, faith, gender, sexual orientation, and socioeconomic status, we are all one. We are all united by our common and shared experiences of life.
I believe that stories also challenge us to practice empathy and be willing to sharpen and mold our perspectives as we listen to one another's experiences. From stories, births humanities and meaning as well.
Our own stories and the stories of others are windows to recognizing how humanity is both broken and imperfect. But through taking time to engage in conversation with one another, and by listening to each other's voices and calls for justice, we can mend humanity's wounds and create something beautiful. We light our chalice this morning, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. May it illuminate the wonder and mystery of life. May we be carriers of its light of radical welcome and warmth into wholeness, into liberation, into the one circle of life.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And for those who celebrate, happy Hanukkah. Tonight is the fourth night of Hanukkah. Though celebrated widely in this country, Hanukkah is, in a religious sense, a minor holiday in the Jewish calendar. It's a historical commemoration. It's also a cultural celebration, joyous and child-oriented. And though it falls at the same time of year, and it might be tempting to liken it to Christmas, Hanukkah is distinct and rooted in meaning of its own. Hanukkah commemorates a war fought in the 2nd century BCE in which a small Jewish army called the Maccabees triumphed over a much stronger Syrian Greek empire. The word Hanukkah means dedication, because at the end of the war, the Maccabees took back the sacred temple in Jerusalem, cleaned up what had been desecrated, and rededicated it. There's also a story told about a miracle. The Jews were eager to rekindle the eternal light in the temple, but there was only enough oil to last just one day. It took 8 days to travel to obtain more oil, but miraculously, the eternal light did not go out. The oil they had on hand lasted for 8 days. And that's why we light candles for 8 nights. For Jews, this is a time to honor and affirm our history and traditions. This is especially true now, when anti-Semitism is on the rise here in the US and throughout the world. Many of us are in pain during this time of horrific war in Israel and Gaza. Even though our political ideologies and worldviews may differ, we share the longing for a just peace for all. By lighting the menorah each night of Hanukkah, we seek to bring light into our homes and into the world. Now we'll light the Hanukkah candles and say the blessings in Hebrew and English. Or we'll try.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the Hanukkah lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu, ve'imoteinu, bayamim hahem, bazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of all, who perform wondrous deeds for our ancestors in days of old at this season. Amen. Amen.
Please rise in body or spirit. Join me in singing hymn number 221 in the gray hymnal, Light One Candle. The words are also on the screen.
Candle
Good morning. Welcome to the Inner River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship here in Durham, North Carolina. I'm Reverend Daniel Trollinger, Executive Minister, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race or gender identity, whomever you love, wherever you are in your spiritual journey and your search for truth and meaning, we welcome you here. If you're new to this community, and especially if you're visiting for the first or second time, I invite you to rise and body your spirit so we can give you all a warm ERUUF welcome. If you're watching on the live stream, please introduce yourself in the chat. Thank you for choosing to spend your rainy Sunday morning with us. If you have children or youth with you, they are invited to go now to the care building where all the youth are baking cookies for urban ministries. So we will not have Go Now in Peace, we will have the story, but we're inviting the children to go if you'd like to be part of the cookie baking. Fellowship hour with tabling and coffee will be in the fellowship hall after the service. Special music today is provided by Lisa Rhodes and Alana Shiner. And now would be a good time to silence any devices that you might have on your person. Let's center ourselves and open for the gifts of this day. And before we begin, we are going to light our Advent wreath. This week we are lighting the candles of hope and of peace. And in doing so, let us appreciate and celebrate all the many faith traditions and sources of our Unitarian Universalist faith. So please join me in extending a warm ERUUF welcome to Anna Krecklau from Families Moving Forward, our Generosity Sunday recipient this month. Welcome, Anna.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. On Monday, there were 49 families who are unsheltered here in Durham. There are another 31 families who are at risk of homelessness in the next 14 days. Families Moving Forward is an emergency shelter for families experiencing homelessness. When families move into our shelter, we have a family empowerment team. This is a group of staff that work together to help our families with whatever barriers they have to securing permanent housing. We have an on-site counselor, a housing team, an early childhood specialist, and various other specialties that work together to help our families move into permanent housing. We also have programming. So these are workshops for parents where they learn budgeting skills, landlord-tenant rights, art therapy, and various other workshops for them to build skills and knowledge so that they can be more successful when they move out. We also have youth enrichment programming. Being a family shelter, we have a huge focus on children because we know the development and the impact homelessness can cause on a child. So we have after-school tutoring, we have youth enrichment programming, and various other services and programs focused on children so that we can break that cycle of homelessness. We also have an aftercare program. This is where we have a case manager that will provide continued support for our families for a year after they move into permanent housing. This is so that we know that they can maintain their permanent housing and be successful. With our aftercare program, we've had over a 90% success rate at keeping our families housed. Another program we offer is our rapid rehousing program, and part of this is helping with startup costs for families, for things like application fees, first 3 months of rent, and various other things that landlords require just to get them into the housing. Finally, we also have white flag. This is when temperatures dip below freezing, below 32 degrees, and we invite an additional 3 families into our shelter for them to stay overnight so that they can be out of the cold. We do not have funding for this. We are doing this just so that we can do whatever we can to help those 49 families who are currently on the streets. Because our vision is for every family to be in a safe and stable home. Thank you.
So the children have already gone to RE today as they're making cookies for Urban Ministries, but they will hear the same story as you hear right now. Our service today is about how sharing our stories with each other might expand our lives. And in our story today, 2 cousins and 2 families who live across the world share how they each celebrate Hanukkah, sometimes in the same way and sometimes in different ways. Hanukkah Upside Down, words by Alyssa Brent Weisman, and pictures by Omer Hoffman. Noah lived in New York. His cousin Nora lived in Aotearoa, New Zealand. When they talked on the phone from opposite sides of the world, they loved to argue about which of them was upside down. "It's Saturday here," said Noah. "It's Sunday here," said Nora. "My dad's cooking dinner," said Noah. "My mom's making lunch," said Nora. "My school's almost out for winter break," said Noah. "My school's almost out for summer holidays," said Nora. But on both sides of the world, Hanukkah was coming. Each cousin had just mailed the other a present. "Wait," said Noah, "you'll have Hanukkah in summer? Talk about backwards." "Your Hanukkah's in winter?" asked Nora. "You're missing out." "No way," said Noah. "Hanukkah's awesome in winter." "Maybe," said Nora, "but it's awesomer in the summer." They set up a shared photo album. New shared album, winter versus summer. Who can have the world's best Hanukkah? On opposite sides of the world, the challenge was on. 8 chances to prove it. May the best cousin win. You are the one upside down. In New York, it got dark early. In New Zealand, the sun set late. But on the first night of Hanukkah, both Nora and Noah filled their homes with the glow of the Chanukiah. Noah rocked fuzzy boots. Nora climbed rocks with bare feet. But on the second night of Hanukkah, they both sang Rock of Ages with their voices loud and strong. Noah ate pastrami on rye, and Nora ate hokey pokey in a cone. But on the third night of Hanukkah, they both ate potato latkes, warm and crisp and golden brown. Noah threw snowballs, Nora did cannonballs. But on the fourth night of Hanukkah, they both gave tzedakah to help repair the world. They both secretly agreed that this contest was tougher than they thought. Noah learned some Spanish. I'm not sure how to say that, ardilla maybe. Nora practiced her te reo Maori, pi waka waka. That's a great word, right? But on the fifth night of Hanukkah, they both used Hebrew to lead the holiday prayers. Noah had hot chocolate. Nora had hot chips. But on the 6th night of Hanukkah, they both had sufganiot, sweet and oozing with grape jelly. Noah slid on his skates. Nora surfed to the shore, but on the 7th night of Hanukkah, they both spun sevivon and won gelt for gibel. With Hanukkah almost over, both cousins went big. Noah rode to the 102nd floor. Nora hiked up 300 meters. They both marveled at great miracles then and now and all around. They both secretly agreed that the best cousin had won. On the last night of Hanukkah, Noah got the gift from his cousin Nora, and Nora got the gift from her cousin Noah. And on opposite sides of the same small world, everything felt right side up. Thank you for sharing this story with me.
If you would please rise and greet your neighbor.
I'm so glad you guys came out here on this very wet Sunday, so good morning. So when I was a kid in the 80s, I taped all my favorite Christmas specials on our shiny new VCR so I could watch them all season long. All year long, I was a glutton. But when those shows came on during regular broadcast, I also insisted on watching them live. Back then, I wouldn't have been able to explain why, but in hindsight, I think I liked knowing I was watching them along with everyone else. We knew tomorrow at school that our best friends had watched them too. I'm a writer, so of course stories have always had a huge place in my life. And I bought in fully to the magic of Christmas, the love, the joy, the families that got along at least that one day. But we learned that was like wishing for snow at Christmas in the South. You heard it maybe happened once a while back. Someone remembers it, but it's not going to happen this year. But I would always have my holiday shows, movies, and stories. I've been studying Christmas stories for a couple of years now. I wonder which ones bring a tear to people's eyes and why. What makes a Christmas story, anyway? Why do people argue about Die Hard being a Christmas movie? Die Hard takes place on Christmas. It's a Wonderful Life is 2 hours and 10 minutes long, and it has almost no Christmas in it except at the end. So I've made several criteria of what makes an actual Christmas story, but unfortunately we don't have all day. So I'll talk about two big ones. The first, Christmas has to be saved. This is non-negotiable. Something bad happens and ruins someone's party, or trip home, or perfect gift, or visit. But then George realizes his life was wonderful. The kids actually support Charlie Brown and decorate his tree. Scrooge runs all over town buying food and presents for his employees and family. The Grinch comes back. Even Michael Scott from The Office goes to get booze to liven up the Christmas party that he ruined. I'm not entirely comfortable saying that vodka can save Christmas, but in this case it did. The second important thing, for some reason, is crime. A lot of protagonists commit crimes in these stories. George Bailey commits embezzlement and fraud. The government doesn't care if it's accidental. Kris Kringle assaults the mean Macy's psychologist with the cane. Scrooged contains assault, kidnapping, attempted murder, and FCC violations. The Grinch literally steals everything. The kids in Charlie Brown's Christmas steal Snoopy's decorations. Even Kevin in Home Alone protects his house with deadly traps that would make Wile E. Coyote think he went a little overboard. For some reason, people love to see a Christmas protagonist think outside the box, which usually means something illegal. They never get arrested because they save Christmas, see Rule 1. So I love these stories of the season because they give us a common cultural touchstone. Nostalgia makes us look to the past, to the first time we experienced these stories. And now we take comfort in knowing that stuff might be bad at the beginning, but Charlie Brown will get his tree, George Bailey will appreciate his life, Tiny Tim will live. I'm not saying our various personal and global problems can be solved as easily as they can in a holiday story, but taking time to be moved by a story might put you in a better mood, and that in itself can make you face the new year with a little hope. Stories are my comfort and joy this time of year. As I'm an atheist, I can safely say that the stories and knowing someone else has shared them at some point in time are a real spiritual experience for me, even if it's Die Hard. Thank you.
Please join me now in a spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we welcome the gifts of this day and lift up our joys and our concerns. We celebrate the joy of community, connection, and reconnection, the opportunity to learn and grow with one another on the spiritual journey. As a people who care for one another, we lift up our prayers and concerns. We hold in our hearts all those suffering and in pain. May they find peace and comfort in the support of others. We hold in our hearts Virginia and Redford Williams on their healing journey. May they know love, comfort, and support in all ways. We hold in our hearts all those in our community and in our own families who are facing grief, loss, or illness. In a spirit of unity, we lift up all of our prayers and blessings. And let us breathe in peace and breathe out love. And honor this moment in silence. In the silence, I invite you to find your center and take a full breath. Reflect back on your life, whether in the past year or a long time ago, and think of a story from your own journey that shaped who you are. This may be something small and simple, or maybe a major event, but let it come forward in a natural way and meet this story with grace. Feel and find the gift of this story. Imagine opening that gift. What does it bring you today to acknowledge, to appreciate, to remember, to honor? In a spirit of compassion, give thanks for this story and everything that has brought you to this moment. Breathe that compassion and awareness into your whole body. And when you exhale, send your love and appreciation out to the world. Beyond time and space, trusting in this moment. Remembering. Appreciating. When that feels complete, bring your attention back to here and now in this room. May we remember the story of everything that has guided our way, and together walk each other home. May it be so.
I need a lullaby for the morning. I can sleep at night, but I just can't face the day. I wake up to bad news and dire warnings that tomorrow just might be worse than today. So sing me a song to soothe me at the break of day, one that makes me see it all some other way. I need a lullaby for the morning, a song that's soft and sweet for a day that's hardly new. My lamp is low, but I've a ways to go until my race is through, and that's why only a lullaby will do. Sing me a song that's like a rocking chair. Its motion makes me feel better, but it's not going anywhere. No big ideas, no grown-up cares and sorrows, just a back and forth on major chords and a tune that's borrowed. So sing me a song to soothe me, familiar and brand new, 'cause none of the songs I know are ringing true. I need a lullaby for the morning, a song that's soft and sweet for a day that's hardly new. My lamp is low, but I've a ways to go until my race is through, and that's why only a lullaby will do. When did I get so fragile? I never was before. Always kept my eyes open, but I just can't look anymore. I need Karen Carpenter to sing me a song, or Patsy Cline, or Mama Cass, honey voices warm and strong. Let the lower ranges cradle me and help me to go home, 'cause it's hard to keep a hopeful heart in a world gone wrong. So sing me a song to soothe me, only altos please, 'cause right now the world has kept me on my knees. I need a lullaby for the morning, a song that's soft and sweet for a day that's hardly new. My lamp is low, but I've a ways to go until my race is through, and that's why only a lullaby will do.
Thank you for that. December is a unique time of year that features a variety of holiday celebrations. It's not surprising that stories surround the whole season, as Mur delightfully pointed out to us. From singing elves and animated Santas to grinchy humbugs and winter wonderlands, these stories all gravitate around a central theme of finding the true meaning of giving. These seasonal stories share characteristics common to story as a universal language. Stories are gifts in a way that can reveal something about ourselves if we open to it. Stories are a universal form of communication with timeless links to traditions, archetypes, and myths. As Carl Jung suggested, humans share a collective unconscious, an understanding of patterns and meanings in experience. Stories tap into these universals, connecting us to a larger self, a larger story, and shared truths of humanity. While there is a distinction between stories we encounter in books, films, and songs, and the stories that we use to describe our own life experience, stories allow us to understand our place in the world and explain how and why things happen. In some ways, stories function as a mirror, showing us the narratives that create and shape our identities and our relationships. One example from the holiday story vault is the film It's a Wonderful Life by Frank Capra. The main character, George Bailey, faced with complete ruin, is given a second chance. With the help of an unlikely angel named Clarence, he gets to see his whole life as if he were never born, to illustrate the impact he had on the world he never realized. This inverse life review ultimately shifts his perspective to gratitude for the life he had taken for granted. This story holds up a mirror to show that who we are and how we are makes a difference. What is a story you've encountered that had an influence on your life and your perspective? How did it influence and shape your thinking or action? While most of us don't have an angel come down and give us a life review, sometimes a story is short and simple, and we may never realize the impact sharing can have. I remember my mom telling me a story of her younger years when she served as a youth director of her church at that time in Norfolk, Virginia. Unable to attend, and at one point, because she needed to tend to her sick father at home, the youth came over to her house. On the coffee table was a magazine that talked about physicians traveling all over the world to help people in need. One of the youth asked about this, and they discussed it, but she didn't think much of it until many years later, when that young person, now an adult, reached out to her to thank her for inspiring the career path he took, which was to be a doctor to help people all over the world. Stories have the power to transform, to inspire, to awaken, even if we're not always aware of the impact in that moment. Stories help us learn about the past, understand the present, and imagine possibilities for the future. Stories can reveal to us and reveal within us new ways of seeing and new ways of being. Every December, my dad and I had a ritual to watch some version of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And trust me, I've seen every version there is. The story follows the transformation of Ebenezer Scrooge, a miser who is visited by three spirits of Christmas past, present, and yet to come, who reveal to him his own miserable life, opportunities he wasted in his youth, his current karma, and the fate that awaits him if he doesn't change. Reluctant, stubborn, and resistant, he finally wakes up and sets out to change his ways. The day after Christmas, he greets his employee gruffly as usual, but then blurts out that he will double his salary and wants to help his family and others. Bewildered, Bob Cratchit's not sure what's going on, and Scrooge says, "No, Bob, I haven't taken leave of my senses. I've come to them." The story of transformation is a familiar arc that resonates through many holiday stories. What does it take for us to come to our senses? How can stories, personal or cultural, help us see our blind spots and make different choices? Author Clarissa Pinkola Estes writes, "Stories are medicine. They have such power, they do not require that we do, be, act anything. We need only listen." Listening, that's a core part of story. A couple of weeks ago, I offered a sermon on sacred rest that emphasized the value of mindfulness and listening. So you all have that one covered, right? The holiday season can stretch our capacity a bit. Even in the jingle of festive times, there are stories everywhere, each one a gift, an opportunity to look into the mirror of our own life, each one potentially medicine in a way. Stories can be a catalyst for change, for healing, for growth. But how does that work exactly? Well, for one, sharing our own stories facilitates profound internal transformation. This fall, a writing workshop was offered at ERUUF for people of color that focused on this process of owning and sharing stories. And hearing about the power of this work from Reverend Jacqueline and others, I was inspired. This story curiosity was ignited further by conversations with ERUUF members, including our own Mike McLeod. He has a book on conscious aging. Like all of the ministers here, I have had the privilege of spending time with some people in this community facing challenging life circumstances. In these moments, I am often humbled at the grace with which people meet the difficulties of life. This has led me to reflect on my own journey and to journal around specific prompts to dive deeper into my meaning-making process. So in a spirit of authenticity and vulnerability, I will offer a reflection from this journal exercise as part 2 of the sermon. Then, after a brief music interlude, we'll return to part 3 and our conversation about the power of story. Stories of future past. On a clear autumn morning, I press the elevator button to go up. It's good to see you. Pleasantries are exchanged. Then, in an instant, a shift from here to real. I'm facing life staring me in the face through the eyes of my friend, who knows they are in the final season of their life. Facing the end with unflinching self-awareness, then turning the light back on me with kind eyes, asking me to make meaning of my own life journey. Caught by surprise, like a deer in the headlights, I smile to hide the tears I don't allow, because I'm not supposed to. Who makes these rules? It's time to go. I'll see you again. I walk to the elevator and step into a hall of mirrors of my own reflections. Light, shadow, dancing, hiding, calling me forward on a spontaneous road trip, along with the ghosts of my past, present, and future. Am I coming to my senses? No, I'm numb, lost. Wait, that's only background music. The louder notes come from somewhere else, beckoning to me to recall something I knew before. Why do I keep forgetting? Suddenly, I'm 6 years old, in a funeral parlor in my childhood neighborhood. The carpet is yellow, the furniture crushed velvet brown. Children are there running around as kids do, adults standing and talking as they do. I'm sitting next to a casket. Inside is the girl who lived next door. She died at age 10 from an illness. Her name was Michelle. Staring down at the yellow carpet, fiddling with my fingers, my mother comes up to me. Why are you sitting up here all by yourself? I didn't want Michelle to be alone. On the way home, all the kids rode in the back of the truck and stopped for ice cream. If I could only go back to that moment, even for a second, to taste it, feel it, change it somehow. Jump cut to age 20 on spring break from college. I'm back in the town of my birth on the banks of the Ohio River, visiting my grandmother in a tiny apartment. I kneel down by the bed listening, feeling the life barely there in her withered hands, these same hands that made the best biscuits in the world. That's what love tastes like, I reminisced. Sensory impressions collide as the clock ticks next to the bottle of pills on the nightstand. Looking into her eyes, she knows her time is almost over, says encouraging words to me, always caring, even till the end. I leave to go down by the river to breathe, to think, to feel, watching in the distance a train traverse the long bridge over the silent river. I'm pulled into a whirlpool of forgotten moments. A decade earlier, my cousin fell to his death from that train bridge. He was my age, I thought to myself, shaking my head, looking over my shoulder. Has death been following me my whole life? The train whistle blows. Dream jump cut again to a gentle embrace from a friend just a few years ago, comforting me at the news of yet another passing in my family. Through tears, I squint up at the sun. Standing in the light, I remember all of it, all at once. All the hugs, the love, the care, the loss, the hurt, the fear. I remember how the light in their eyes touched me, asked me to remember acceptance, forgiveness, peace. The one light that weaves through it all, the fabric of life unfolding, unraveling in a colorful tapestry of impossible and improbable grace. The snow is falling now in my dreamscape on the island of misfit memories. I open my mouth to catch a snowflake, to taste the sweet innocence, the mystery of this moment, here and now, there and then. Stories of future past stand here with me at the threshold of some new beginning. I smile in gratitude and wonder at the play of light and shadow, at the secret of how life finds a way to surprise us over and over again. I walk down to the river behind my house here in Durham, my boots leaving tracks in the fresh snow behind me. I watch the descent of individual snowflakes as they are swept into the slow current. The flow of life played out in front of my eyes and behind my eyes at the same time. Back in the cozy cocoon of my home, cheeks still flushed from the cold winter night, I sit by the window, watching the snow fall, and wonder. Author Brene Brown writes, owning our own story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we will ever do. Owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love, belonging, and joy, the experiences that make us the most vulnerable. She continues, only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light. Briefly, we looked at stories as mirror, stories as medicine, but stories can also be an invitation to be vulnerable, to be compassionate with ourselves and others, to see and feel in new ways. Story as invitation, asking us to remember who and what touched our life, the places and people that made an impression on our heart and soul, the times of greatest challenge and the times of laughter and joy, exploring and embracing all that has shaped what we have become. Friday in the ERUUF e-News, Lana Harkrader shared a moving story about the sister communities of San Ramon and Nicaragua. If you haven't yet read it, I encourage you to find it on the ERUUF website. Go to Discover to News. The story of San Ramon and the work of Lana and Richard and many others over the years has touched the lives of so many in this community and in communities in Nicaragua as well. The story is a testament to love and justice in action. Owning and sharing stories is not a solo journey. Story is an invitation to remember, yes, but also reflect on how our very presence makes a difference. It is a wonderful life, for we are in this life journey together in relationship with one another. Storytelling is a universal language that transcends borders, languages, and generations. It's a thread that connects us all, reminding us of our shared humanity. How can each of us, sharing just a bit of who we are, add to the living, breathing, ongoing story of this community? The gift of story. Story as mirror, showing that who we are and how we are makes a difference. Story as medicine, to offer comfort, catalyze healing, restore balance. Story as invitation, to remember that owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Story as bridge that connects us all, reminding us of our shared humanity. Recalling our opening words from Youth Poet Laureate Rommel Kamran, the power of story rests in the heart of vulnerability and community. Each individual bears a story aching to be heard and to be recognized. Stories are powerful because they foster connection and plant the seeds of community to blossom. Our own stories and the stories of others are windows to recognizing how humanity is both broken and imperfect. But through taking the time to engage in conversation with one another, listening to each other's voices and calls for justice, we can mend humanity's wounds and create something beautiful. What a powerful young voice sharing her story in the world. So as you move through this holiday season full of stories that may be comical or magical, pause and reflect on how the perspective of a story can illuminate or inspire something within you. In sharing the gift of story, may we find this December opening to the mystery of life, opening to one another with a welcoming heart, noticing the dance of light and shadow, the play of past and future, remembering to celebrate the gifts of community, remembering the one light that weaves through all of it. May it be so. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be. It is now time for the offering. Our collection this morning goes to Families Moving Forward. Thank you, Anna, for sharing about all the beautiful work that you're doing. Please place your tangible gifts in the offering plate as passed around, or point your device to the QR code and go for there. Thank you for your generosity.
Living in the end of days, the waitress said to me, the time I thought she was crazy, but then it dawned on me, maybe the end won't come flashlight. Maybe the end comes slowly, like getting old, or a patient thief in the night. This will all pass away. We might not have tomorrow, right now is good for me, and trouble I won't borrow. When I see your pretty face in the morning next to me, I know I have all I need. It just might happen that we won't know that the end has come. We'll just bury our gold in the yard out back and take who we love and run, expecting someday we'll return, just to find out we were wrong, until all that's left is some shiny things and the words to this song. This will all pass away. might not have tomorrow, but right now is good for me. And trouble I won't borrow. When I see your pretty face in the morning next to me, I know I have all I need, and I'm where I ought to be. Living in the end of days, I wish I knew. I just know that the weather's crazy and the ice is melting too, and the people who are running things, well, they haven't got a clue. And the ones who will suffer most are our children and me and you. Well, this will all pass away, and we might not have tomorrow, right now is good for me. And trouble I won't borrow. And when I see your pretty face in the morning next to me, I know I have all I need, and I'm where I ought to be.
We give thanks for the many gifts that support the thriving of this beloved community. The gift of music, the gift of generosity, the gift of love. Wendy will now lead us in our closing hymn.
Please rise, embody your spirit, and join me in singing Dark of Winter, hymn number 55, in your gray hymnal, and the words are on the screen. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries,
Our closing words today come from Anna Faulds. Allow. There is no controlling life. Try corralling a lightning bolt containing a tornado. Dam a stream and it will create a new channel. Resist and the tide will sweep you off your feet. Allow, and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in, the wild and the weak, fear, fantasies, failures, and success. When loss rips off the doors of the heart, or sadness veils your vision with despair, practice becomes simply bearing the truth. In the choice to let go of your known way of being, the whole world is revealed to your new eyes. Go in peace. Go in love.